Hey guys, so in today's video we're going to be talking about scales and keys for major and minor scales or major and minor keys. So first of all, scales, as we've talked about before, scales are like the musical alphabet from one note to the next, or think of a whole staircase of all the notes in a row. So we talked about a C major scale. So we have C major equals the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, and B, right? Okay. So those 7 notes make up the C major scale. Now if we start that same scale from A, we end up with an A minor scale. So A minor equals A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So both of these scales use only natural notes. So natural notes are just regular letters that don't have a sharp or a flat after them. So the key of C major is just all natural notes starting from C. The key of A minor is just all natural notes starting from A. So if you really think about it, the A minor scale comes from the C major scale. Starting on the 6th note of the C major scale gives you A minor. So there are other scales that we call modes that fit into all these different notes. If you start on D, we call that Dorian, E is Phrygian, F is Lydian, G is Mixolydian, etc. But we're not going into that yet. We just want to think right now about major and minor, because major and minor is what gives us our keys in music. So we can have a song that's in the key of C major, or we can also have a song that's in the key of A minor. So we don't really generally think of anything else as a key. You could be playing in a different mode, but when it comes to most standard music, we're thinking of either a major key or a minor key. Now, before we get into talking about keys and the circle of fifths and how that all works, we're just going to find a way to play the C major scale and the A minor scale on the guitar in a very easy way, just a 1-octave version, just so we can understand what it sounds like. And then later we'll learn more complex versions where we use different positions on the guitar to go higher up and play the scales, but right now we're going to learn the most simple form of doing these scales. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw 6 lines representing the guitar strings, like tablature, same thing. Okay, just so we know this is not a musical staff. These are guitar strings that we're looking at. Okay, and here we have the C major scale in open position 1 octave. So basically what we're going to do here is we're going to start with the 3rd fret of the 5th string, as you see in the tab. This first 3 represents 3 right here on the guitar. Okay, so we're going to play 3, then we're going to play the next string 0, 2, 3. So going down onto the D string, we're going to play 0, 2, 3. Then on the G string, we're going to play 0, 2. And then on the 2nd string, we're going to play 0, 1. Okay? So the scale in total is going to be like this. So 3, 0, 2, 3, 0, 2, 0, 1. And then you can also play the C major chord in that same position. Now we're going to play an A minor scale starting from the 5th string. And that gives us a 1-octave A minor scale. So on the guitar, we're going to play the notes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Get to the octave there. So it goes like on the tabs, 0 on the A string, on the 5th string, 0, 2, 3. Then the next string, the D string, 0, 2, 3. And then on the G string, 0, 2. Okay? So that is based around this shape. The A minor chord. Okay? Now later we're going to learn to play the scales in more than 1 octave, and we can do that in a whole bunch of different positions on the guitar. But right now I just want you to understand, real simple, that this is a 1-octave A minor scale. And now we're going to talk about keys. So like I mentioned, we have major keys and minor keys. So for every major key, there is a relative minor key. So we actually call that relative minor. For every major key, we have a minor that goes with it called the relative minor. Now the way that we'd think about that is you just go 2 letters back in the alphabet. So if I'm at C and I go back 1 letter, it's B, the next letter is going to be A. So that's how I find my relative minor. So for example, if I'm in the key of G major, well, if I go back 1 note, we have F, and then if I go 1 note back from F, we have E. So the answer is E minor. One more we can do is if we do D major, if we go back 1 note from D, we get C, and then if we go back 1 more note, we have B. So B minor. And it keeps going with all the different keys, okay? Now interval-wise, that's technically a minor third. So to be exact, you want to know that that's a minor third back from the major key to the relative minor. So from D back to B is a minor third, or from B up to D is a minor third. Okay, and then to find out how the keys work in music, we're going to draw a circle of fifths. So if you'd like to grab a piece of paper and draw along, it will help you with the learning process to write it out yourself. So we're going to start with drawing a circle. Then we're going to label 12 points on the circle like a clock. So I start with the 4 on either side, and then do 2 in between each side, giving you a basic 12-point clock going around. Then at the top, we're going to put C. So the key of C is at the top. Now with the circle of fifths, the first way we're going to think is going this direction. This is clockwise on the circle of fifths. So if you're going clockwise, we are going up intervals of a fifth. So in our other video, we talked about what a fifth is. So if you take any note and call that note number 1, you just count up 5 notes, and the 5th note equals a fifth. So for example, if I take C, and C is 1, if I count up to the 5, what note is that going to be? So C, D, E, F, G. So you count C as 1 and count up. C, D, E, F, G is 5. So you're going to put a G right here as the next key. So now, before we move on, we want to identify that this key actually has 1 sharp in it. So a sharp looks like a hashtag, right? So what I usually do is I'll write down here, I'll write 1 sharp. Make a little note right there, 1 sharp. Now the next key up, we're going to go up a fifth from G now. So if G is 1, the 5 is going to be D. Right? Because if G is 1, G, A, B, C, D. D is the 5th note. So we have D right here, and D has 2 sharps. Now if we go up a fifth from D, we have A. A has 3 sharps. If we go up a fifth from A, we have E. E has 4 sharps. The fifth up from E is B. 5 sharps. And then a fifth up from B is F sharp, actually. Okay? So it's not just F, it's F sharp with 6 sharps. So that's because the exact interval up a fifth from B, if we just did F, it would only be a flat 5. It would not be a whole perfect fifth. So we have to make it F sharp for it to be a perfect fifth. All of these other intervals happen to be a perfect fifth, but when you go from B to F sharp, it needs to be F sharp. Now we go back up to the key of C at the top, and think about that. This has 0 sharps or flats. So this key has 0 sharps or flats either way. Okay? So what we're going to do is, if we think of going counterclockwise on the circle of fifths, we're actually going intervals of fourths. Fifths are clockwise, fourths are counterclockwise. Now you might notice that if I go up, it's a fifth. If I go back, it's a fourth. So if it evens out, both of these equal 9. So if I were to go up a 2, I would go back a seventh, so it equals 9. If I go up a 3, go back a 6. So it always equals 9 if you go up to an interval or back to an interval. Okay? Well, we're going to go up fourths from C. So if we think of up a fourth from C, if we take C as 1, C, D, E, F. So F is our fourth up from C. So we're going to write F right here. Okay, so we have F. Now F has 1 flat. G has 1 sharp, F has 1 flat. Pretty much that simple. It's the same clock going this way, but it's with flats going the other direction. But we're going fourths. So a fourth up from F is actually B flat. Now if you notice, we already have B, so B flat is the answer on this. For the same reason, for it to be a perfect fourth, it needs to be B flat. If it was a B natural, it would be an augmented fourth. So we want a perfect fourth, so B flat is the answer. All the rest of the keys on this side are going to end up being flats, or flat keys. So the key of B flat has 2 flats. A fourth up from B flat is E flat, 3 flats. And then a fourth up from E flat is A flat, with 4 flats. A fourth up from A flat is D flat, with 5 flats. Okay? Then a fourth up from D flat, if you were to put that over here, would be G flat. G flat has 6 flats, just like F sharp has 6 sharps. These keys are less common, but they are used. So these are the basic major keys for the circle of fifths. Now each and every one of these keys has a relative minor. Now sometimes you see the relative minor written on the inside here, but I think it kind of gets a little cluttered. So for me, if I really want to write out all the relative minor keys that go with it, I'll just maybe put in parentheses. So C is also A minor, like that. Just so I know. So here G, the relative is E minor. D, the relative is B minor. A, the relative is F sharp minor. E, the relative is C sharp minor. And then for the key of B, we have G sharp minor. Now if you have the key of F sharp major, you're going to have D sharp minor. Squeeze that in there. Then for the key of G flat major, you would have E flat minor. Less common keys here, but just so you know the mathematics of it. So now going up here, it's the same thing. So F, the relative minor, is going to be D minor, because we just go a minor third back from the major key. Another cool trick for finding the relative minor key from a major is on the guitar. If you put each finger on a different note in a line on one string, the pinky is playing the major and the first finger is playing the minor. So basically that means that if my pinky right here is on F, which is the 8th fret of the 5th string, and then I go down to my first finger, that's D. So that makes a D minor. So that's the relative minor. And then for B flat major, we have G minor. And then for E flat major, we have C minor. And then for A flat major, we have F minor. And for D flat major, we have B flat minor. So again, if you understand the major keys really well, the minor keys are just a minor third back from the major key. In our next video, we're going to talk about all the notes all over the whole guitar and really get used to understanding intervals, not just on one string, but intervals from one string to the next, and also skipping over strings. But basically, we just need to understand this very fundamental part about keys and how scales work between major keys and also the relative minor keys.